Hey guys, it's your girl Desiree Michelle. I am your host. This is the after show of Rhe.tor.ic episode 2. I'm here with founder, producer, and creative director, Rhe.tor.ic.
All those titles.
I know, right?
How you
but
doing,
it's amazing.
Desiree?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
So, tell me about this body of art that you've just created in episode 2.
Well, I mean, it started out as just, just going through my normal process of how I make episodes. And then as I went along with the project, it just became just much more. I just got the opportunity to really sit down with each individual and really hear their story and just get a feel of for their personality and just the person that, that they are.
Yeah.
And it just, I fell in love with each individual, and it just made me want to represent them in its best light.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was my approach. It was just more so the dedication to make sure that each and every person that played a part on this looked amazing. To
start off with just getting the title or the name of your brand, tell me about the journey of your whole production.
When I first thought about making this, just making Rhe.tor.ic, just creating this brand, people often have this different representation of what a lifestyle is.
Yeah.
And for what you see on TV, a lifestyle show is like they show glitz and glamour and but that's not the reality that I know.
Right.
And that's not the reality that the people that I brush with on a day-to-day basis know.
Very true.
Most of the people that I deal with, work a 9 to 5, but have a passion to pursuing something else. But, life has a way of kind of hindering us at moments where, we feel like we have to put this passion on a back burner, So that was like my thought process of going into making the show as well as creating this brand. I wanted to connect with people that other people would resonate with in their stories, So that was like my primary goal and just motive of doing it.
That's amazing. So let's talk about, you've mentioned how you just basically wanted to showcase other people and show their stories as creators. Let's talk about your story. Let's get into it. I know in episode 2, you mentioned a little bit, like I saw a little snippet of who Rhe.tor.ic is. Just tell everybody, who is Rhe.tor.ic?
Where do I start? Well, I mean, far as my beginning, I had no history of working in the media arts. I just knew
you would have had me fooled. Like,
no, I mean, I really didn't. I mean, I just had a passion for it and a thought to do it, and but like no prior history, no education whatsoever. And clearly you can see it in my previous work, like my pilot. I remember when I shot my pilot. I mean, looking at the pilot now, it's like I cringe at it because I mean, forget about it. I mean, my angles were just crazy. My interview skills was just like,
but
it just was all over the place,
gosh.
But the cool thing is like, it's cool to watch your growth on screen, and it brought me to this place that I'm at now, and like I'm just truly blessed.
We all have, as creators, go through the trial and error. You just start throwing stuff out there, regardless if you like, okay, what if they like this? No, I like it. And that's most important. And I'm so happy that you didn't really care what other people thought. And you pushed through with that pilot, because your work now, I mean, you say you're growing, but your work now is just phenomenal. And just keep it up. I just love it.
No, thank you. And I mean, I plan on it. I mean, this project, is real dear to my heart because, like I said, I mean, I'm inspired by people. This is what motivates me. And then when you have a story that's tagged on to it, it just
brings meaning.
It just brings meaning.
Right.
It just brings everything to life. So yeah, like, this is something that I truly enjoy. I truly love connecting with people, and, just to see the relationships that I built, over this time, it's like I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Now, speaking of meaning and bringing stories to light, Chef Del, like I love his story. Speaking of Chef Del, tell me a little bit about his story. Like, how did you feel hearing everything in his, from beginnings into his uprising? Tell me a little bit about that.
It's cool with Del, like working on his piece, because you know, I felt his story so much because I almost saw myself in it. You know, it was like, you know, you try all these things, you know, you try all these different ventures, you know, and then like life just has this way of like kind of bringing you back to what you always knew you would be at, you know, or be good at, you know. And for him, it was cooking. And, you know, as far as with me, it just was like I always had a passion for the arts, you know, but yet on my journey, I tried so many different things, but yet it brought me back to this point. And, you know, it was cool with Del because like my approach of like creating the dialogue for him, you know, it's like I wanted to tell the story from the beginning to the end. Like I wanted you to just grow with him and just see him for the man that he is now, you know. And I just remember like when me and Del had a discussion on, you know, actually him signing on to do the project, you know, and I told him my idea and where I wanted to take it. And then once I put it on paper for him and he's looking at it and he's like, damn, you just made my life just seem like, he's like, yo, I didn't even realize like, yo, like my life was like this,
right? You
know, and it just brought me a lot of joy, the fact that like I was able to like put this picture in front of him, you know, and show him that he's this remarkable man with an amazing talent. So,
wow. So he blessed you and you blessed him in return.
Yeah.
Basically, just it's so crazy because life just keeps going and you never really get to sit back and just soak it all in, because we're just always going as humans, just going to the next big thing. Like, okay, good. All right, I got this blessing. Let me just keep going. But you never really got to soak it in. And in this case, do you feel like you're soaking it in right now? Like, wow, I made it.
Actually, no, not really. I mean, listen,
he's humble, guys.
There's days where I'm like on an emotional roller coaster. Sometimes where like even just making this project, I would look at it and I would just be like, you know, will people understand just the vision that I'm taking? Will people relate to these stories? You know, will people just be entertained? You know, so I would battle back and forth with my thoughts. No, I haven't soaked it in yet. You know, I mean, I'm blessed to actually now finally have the project out, you know, and so that's a win in itself. But I don't think it hit me yet. You know, like I truly do understand that it's a good body of work. Yeah. But I haven't sat back and really analyzed it just yet. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about how you connected so well with Sergio.
You know, it's funny with Sergio. God is good. I can say that.
Yes, he is.
God is good because, you know, moving into doing this project, you know, my first thoughts was, well, damn, who I'm going to get for this one, you know? So like I had a few designers in mind that I wanted to reach out to, and which I did, right? So I reached out to Sergio and, you know, it was crickets. I didn't get an answer back, no reply, no nothing. I reached, you know, hit him through email, you know, introducing myself, telling what I'm about and stuff like that. And I didn't hear anything. So I'm just like, damn, like just feeling like the world just came down on me, because I'm like, yo, I'm not hearing from anybody. I'm not getting no responses. Damn, nobody's not, you know, they're not feeling the project. They're not feeling what I represent. Right. And I ended up going to like this event, but it was a toss-up that night because I was going back and forth in my thoughts, like, damn, should I go to this event? Should I not? But something told me just to go to it, whatever, right? So I ended up going to this event, and long behold, you know, as I was at the event, who walks in? Sergio, right? So I'm like, immediately he walks in and I'm like, I know who he is, you know, and I'm just like, yo, that's crazy. I'm like, damn, I just reached out to him, and you know, I was like, yo, I ain't get a response back, but I'm like, this is a perfect opportunity to introduce myself and just let him know what I'm about and all that. So, you know, I stepped to him, I introduced myself, you know, and I told him, I was like, you know, it's funny, I just reached out to you through email to see if you would be willing to, you know, work on the project with me.
Yeah.
So then he explained to me, he's like, well, I don't really check my emails. I have an assistant for that, whatever, right? So, you know, here I'm thinking in my mind, like, damn.
He's dodging
you. Yeah,
you.
he dodging me, like he not feeling what I, you know, and the whole time, you know, he never received the email, you know, so I felt a little better about that. So we connected that night and we just hit it off. And then from there, you know, he just was all for doing the project, and I was just grateful for that.
It's amazing that you've even went up to someone and shoot your shot. Really, that's really what you did.
Yeah.
Where do you get that courage to just network with these people? People don't understand. It's a lot to network. You have to put yourself in the room. So tell me, like, how did you feel? Like, how do you go about networking for anybody who's watching?
It took some time to like build the confidence, you know, like, cause you know, us as humans, we'll second guess ourselves to death, you know, and you know, I got to a point of not wanting to live with the what if, you know, like if I'm feeling a certain way, you know, if I see an opportunity that presents itself, it's like you just react, you know. Now, don't get me wrong, like approaching someone or reacting in these situations, like of course, like so much is going on through my mind, you know, but what's the worst that can happen? You know, they tell you no, you know, but if you represent something right, you know, and you're true to yourself, most likely that response is always going to be a yes. You know, going back to like working up that confidence, you know, to say something. So even just my first encounter with Camille, like it's crazy.
She's amazing. When I saw her sing, I was thinking, I got the closest thing next to me, and I thought I was Destiny's Child for a second. I'm not gonna lie. So tell me, how did you feel? Was you in the room? Did you get chills?
Like, I'm like listening to her and I'm just like damn, this is like, I got something here.
Right.
Like, this is amazing. And it's another God just working his magic. So I'm on a train one day. I get on a train, right? And I'm standing by like the doors, and I so happen to just, eyes are wandering, you know, and I so happen to land on Camille. She's like, I believe she was sitting in the seat, and she was like vibing to her music. You know, she was like singing like low, but like I'm looking at her style and just her whole aura just seemed like, damn, this is somebody that I need to know. You know, I need to find out some more.
What?
You know, it's funny because I'm having all these thoughts in my mind as she's on the train, right? So I'm like, bet, like I need to know who she is. Like I need to build this relationship, like, you know. So I'm like, all right, so if she get off at my stop, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna definitely say something. So I'm thinking all this in my mind, whatever, right? So she gets off at my stop, and I was like, all right, this is a sign. Like,
oh my God.
I was like, this is a sign. I was like, you know what, don't miss the opportunity. So we get off the train, and I approached her and gave her a little elevator speech of, you know, who I am, and just like what I,
the little 10-second, hey.
Yeah, because you know we moving. You know, we're I think we got off at Times Square, so we're in Times Square, so you know it's busy. Yeah. But yeah, so you know I introduced myself, tell her what I'm about, and then like you know we both complimented each other's style, whatever like that, and then we just connected from there. So I went home, listened to her music, and like I was blown away. Like, wow, damn, this girl got a voice on her, you know. And I was like, thanks God, like like, you know what I'm saying, like you created this moment for me, you know. Yeah. But yeah, like I listened to her music and I just was blown away, and I just knew from there, I was like, this is the person that I need. Yeah. I need to like finish off episode 2. Even
though you have only 3 titles, I think he's being humble. Like you're a recruiter, you scout talent, like you have this eye that no one else really has in this world. I just fall in love more and more in this episode. Like I'm speechless. Like I'm a fan, I'm speechless. So let's talk about the background of all your backgrounds, basically. Like essentially that's what it is. Each segment or each piece represented each creative mind or person. So Karan, how did you manage to come about Karan?
That's my cousin.
Okay.
And you know, I always respected what he does for just the arts. I mean, I just think he's an amazing talent, such a personality. Like if you meet him, like it's like he has that it factor,
yes.
You know, and he's very confident about himself.
Yes.
And yeah, so I always knew I wanted to do something with him, and I just was like, damn, I just don't know what though. Like I know, like, you know, I know I want to do a dance piece, but I didn't know what direction I wanted to take it in. Mm-hmm. And and I sat on it for a while, and I was, you know, always told him like, yeah, we'll eventually do something. But I sat on it for a while, and then, you know, the thought came to me like, all right, to create, you know, the fact that also just knowing his background and just knowing where he came from and just his struggle and, you know, his high points, you know, I came with the idea of like, you know, creating these two images of him, of a negative and also like a positive, highlighting his down times as well as showcasing his accomplishments as he's grown through his journey. Yeah. You know, so pretty much, you know, I wanted to create that battle in the ring of, you know, him just fighting with himself, because that's what we often do as humans. You know, our worst enemy is just us, you know. So I wanted to showcase like, listen, this man has been on a journey, has seen some rough times, has gone through rough things like personally in his life, you know, and came and just risen above that, you know, and came out victorious. Yeah. You know, so I mean, that was the angle that I wanted to take on it. I just wanted to represent everything that this man has been through in his life.
Yeah. So I got that feeling when you mentioned his life and the monologue and how it juxtaposed to the ring. It's just like I'm with him on his journey, fighting and overcoming all of these battles and just walking out like, I did that, you know? Like I walked out like I did that, I accomplished that problem, and I'm just leaving it in the ring. Each part, I started to notice that it was like as if he was letting himself free. Like he was taking off layers of clothes, and it described like his pain and the problem, and just coming back suited and just walking away from everything like I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I wanted to represent. I wanted to represent like, you know, after you go through all these trials and tribulations, you know, you brush yourself off, you know, you get back up, you know, there's another fight that lies for you the next day, you know, and you continue just to keep moving on your process and keep just being victorious.
So a lot of people don't know, we're currently filming during COVID, right? Of course, we're social distancing and we're taking proper precautions, but people also know what's going on in the world with the Black Lives Matter movement and everything. And I just want to touch base on a particular segment that is still current and able to talk about today. Like the Statue of Liberty segment, I felt like was very powerful. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
So with that piece, you know, Carl came to me with this idea of creating a Statue of Liberty, a mural, but he wanted to really focus on what the true history behind the Statue of Liberty. And I was all for that, and I definitely related to it, you know. And so when he created this mural, you know, I took that and kind of made my own perspective of what I see, you know. So the whole concept behind it was, you know, Statue of Liberty, Lady Liberty, you know, it's this enticing woman, you know, Liberty, you know, Statue of Liberty represents, you know, freedom and just this land of opportunity, you know, but then it's like when you get here and you know, when you get here and you're in the mix, it's not really all that cracked up to what it, you know, to what it's, you know, supposed to be.
Yeah.
Right. So when you get here to the States and you're looking for an opportunity and you finally try to go on this journey, you often get taken for a ride.
Yeah.
You know, it's draining. You know, it's truly draining just going through the ups and downs, and that was the reason for like me adding like just the trickles of like blood throughout each scene, because it's like, you know, this woman is taking from you. You know, this country, this place is taking from you. You came here believing that, you know, it was one way, but then as you're in it, you realize like it's really not.
Yeah.
You know, so it was kind of like me claiming my independence and me letting go of this enticing woman and just going on my own journey and being independent, you know. So that was like the concept behind it. And as far as the part where it rewinds, it was like more so like history repeating itself. You know, it's kind of like, you know, here we are, you know, going through these things still in 2020, where like people are still being treated unfairly. You know, you see all the stuff that's going on with just police brutality and just black lives, you know, just, you know, police officers killing our people, and amongst other things too that are happening in society.
Right.
You know, but it's just like, when does it stop, you know? So, you know, that's what I wanted to represent with that a piece, just like letting go all of the bullshit and just like, you know, it's time for us to claim us, you know. So
I admire you coming from, I wouldn't say, because you battle, you go behind camera, you plan these thoughts and these ideas as a creative director, but you're interviewing someone. But for you to do a whole piece and essentially a monologue, just pouring your heart out and describing what that piece meant to you, I admire your courage. I admire your ability to just be truthful and free.
That piece inspired a lot from me, like even down to like the spoken word. Like, you know, I've always been a fan of poetry, always been a fan of spoken word, and I would like write things, but never had the heart to like really project it to anyone, you know. So this was actually like my first go around of actually, you know, writing something and then putting it out there, you know. And it was like, I didn't realize, like, I didn't know how people was going to receive it, but like I was tired of getting to the point of like having these thoughts and writing stuff and just feeling like, damn, that sounds good to me, like, you know. And it's just like, damn, but you know, but then I would doubt myself, like maybe it's not, I'm not going to say it, you know. But I finally got to the point, I was like, no, like I think this is what needs to be said, you know. And that was the motivation that brought on the spoken word in that piece as well. So.
And I think it also brought about perfect timing. Like, what was the motivation to say, all right, this is a perfect time to drop episode 2?
Well, I mean, it's funny because, you know, people would like reach out to me like on like, you know, social media and be like, you know, I would have all these trailers and be like, episode 2 coming soon, episode 2 coming soon. And then like months have passed, and then people be like, yo, like, damn, do you wait this long in between each piece? You know. And it was just like, you know, I didn't want to force it. You know, I felt like, you know, God will lay out the plan for me when this will come out.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I just felt like, you know, often we have this, as humans, we have this thing where we feel like we need to take things in our own hands and not allow things just to work out organically, or, you know, just like God kind of just orchestrate, you know, where things need to be, you know. And I found myself in a place of doing that, and I just was like, yo, I got to take a step back and just allow things just to happen, you know. And that's and with that mindset, that's what allowed me to kind of just hold off, you know. And it was perfect because I already had that piece a while ago written. I had majority of the footage shot for Carl's piece, you know, but there was something that still needed to be said. And you know, unfortunately, you know, everything that happened with George Floyd, you know, and then Breonna Taylor, and you know, all the other ones, you know. And then like we had, you know, the protest, and like, you know, and all this stuff started happening, and I'm watching it and I'm just like, I need this. Like, this is what I was missing. Like, you know, in order for this piece to really speak value, like I need to show this, you know. I need to put this on Front Street so people can have more of an understanding for what it is. You know, now if I would have put that project out beforehand, I would have missed out on this, you know, and this is what needed to be said, you know. And I think it was just perfect timing, you know, and it speaks for now. It speaks right now for everything that's going on. So, you know, things like that I don't take for granted. You know, I feel like things will happen when it needs to, you know, and I think in this case with this project, I felt like that's exactly what happened. It felt like everything fell in place at the right time.
With that being said, I really feel like your audience will definitely get the idea on why you took so long and how you managed to merge everything from what's currently going on into that monologue. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let's go into the next segment that we haven't spoke upon yet. Barry. Tell me about Barry.
You know, I knew I wanted to have an entertainment lawyer. You know, I thought it'd be just something different. You know, often as like creators, you know, we get into this space of just worrying about just creating and just the art of things. But, you know, we often forget about like the legal aspect of things. So I just wanted to take that twist on it, you know, because I just thought it would be different. So I had this gentleman that signed up to do the project initially, but I guess our schedules didn't work out. So of course he didn't do the project, and at that moment I kind of felt like, man, I'm back to square one. You know, I was like, where else could I find like, you know, this ideal entertainment lawyer, you know, that was, you know, just for the people, had a great personality, just, you know, just had an it factor about him, you know. And, you know, I thought to myself, I was like, well, you know what, you know, don't allow this one situation to take you out, you know. And I just pretty much did my due diligence and, you know, researched, and I came across Barry. And I reached out to Barry and I told him what I was about and told him what the brand represents and what I was trying to do. And immediately he just took a liking to it. And you know, it's funny because even though he decided to do the project, before we actually met, like I still was kind of feeling a certain way about, because ideally I had another gentleman in mind, right? So my mindset was more so focused on this particular gentleman. So I didn't know how me and Barry would connect or if we would mesh. And we sat down and just, you know, spoke about a lot of things and just realized like we're one and the same. Like, you know, we have a lot of things in common, and it just put me at ease. Like, you know what, this is the person, you know. And I felt like, you know, if it was made for me to have to be with that other person, it would have happened, you know. So, you know, I got past that and was like, you know what, this gentleman here is sincere, passionate, and he's really about helping emerging artists and just, you know, and just helping just people in general, just guiding them through just the industry, you know. So, yeah, so once I got Barry on board, you know, everything just worked out. Everything worked out. But I mean, with Barry, it's interesting because if you really look at his story, I mean, it's a blessing, you know, if you think about it, right? He met this kid, you know, at 8 years old that was like part of like a music class, right? This friend of his had a piano teacher that mentored him, that ended up mentoring Barry, you know, as well. And then later on, this mentor would play a pivotal role in the music, just a faculty of NYU. Barry goes to NYU, you know, and yet you still have this mentor just on your journey now guiding you, you know, throughout, you know. So, you know, if you look at his story, like, it starts from like an early age, like almost like he was prepped to walk in this line, to take this journey into just the music industry, you know. So once I heard his story, I was like, man, blessings on blessings. I mean, like, that doesn't happen. Like, even down to the situation where he's on the train and he's reading a book from NYU, and a woman that's standing in front of him took that same course and with that same professor.
Oh my gosh.
And that woman would get him his first internship at would get him his second internship at a record label that pretty much guided him throughout his journey. It's like, what's the odds of that, of you running into someone that...
What is the odds?
Right, that's right.
Like, you just did it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's crazy. Like, you know, the fact how everything played out for him. Like, I'm sure he didn't expect to, you know, get on a train that day and run into someone that took the same professor, took that same course, that's now doing something in the music industry that can bring him along and help him just move forward in his journey. So, like, if you think about that situation, if you think about this friend that he met at 8 years old, that connected him with his piano teacher that ended up being his mentor later on, like, all these things connected, you know? So it was just like blessings on blessings for him. And it just was like, I just thought that was amazing, you know, just to see his journey into where he's at now, so.
Moral of the story is, if you're in the music industry, stay on the train.
Right.
Right. Stay on the train. You never know who you might know, find.
Right, exactly. You see, I met Camille on the train. Right. He met this woman on the train. So, yeah, I mean, that's the thing about being in New York, you know, like, these opportunities just present itself. Like, you never know, you know, just the walk that someone has taken in their life, you know, like, we come across so many people in a day, and you don't realize how much things you have in common, you know. It's like what is it, 6 degrees of separation kind of thing, you know. So that's what I felt like in this case with Barry. So yeah, so I just thought his story was interesting, and how everything played out for him into, like, leading up to this moment in his life, you know. So
that's amazing. So speaking of other people's story, where did you get the name Rhetoric? How did you come about Rhetoric? Let the people know.
You know, it's funny because, like, I went through many names, and I would, like, say them to people, and they'd be like, nah, that's corny. Like, nah.
Can we hear some?
You know, it's funny because I actually don't even remember any of them.
It wasn't meant to be.
Right, exactly. So, you know, people were telling me, like, no, that's not it. And then, like, something just hit me, and I just was like, just Rhetoric. And also, like, things that start with an R, you know, R has such a powerful, like, tone when it rolls off your tongue.
I think that.
Like, so, you know, I wanted something to strike hard, and, you know, and I went through, like, the letters and, like, just trying to, like, figure things out, and then I, like, landed on R, and, like, I don't know, like, probably like my second thought was Rhetoric. And I remember saying it to a friend, and my friend was just lit up like, yeah, that's it. And I was like, you know what, I felt the same way. And, like, that's how I came about the name. But then if you think about it, the definition of it, it's like being persuasive in language and expressive writing. And, you know, and I think this is what I represent, like, me telling these stories, me being expressive, you know, and it just resonates with the, you know, with what the word is, what it's defined as, you know, and it just worked out. It just worked out perfectly. So, I mean, once I, like, really looked into the definition of it and and analyzed it, I said, this is exactly what the brand is. This is what I'm about. So
yeah, you have a way with rhetoric, if I don't say.
right. So it's like, yeah, but people pronounce it at like, you know, it's rhetoric, but like I took it as like rhetorical and just left it at rhetorical. Like, so I played around with it,
Yeah,
you know.
did a little wordplay, but it really worked out, like the whole background.
It worked out for me, yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you a question. I know you feel like it's the end of the segment. Do you know what that question is?
Possibly, maybe.
So when it's all said and done, what do you want people to remember you by?
It's funny because I never thought about this question like for myself. When it's all said and done, I think I want people to remember me as being someone positive, someone that inspires, someone that motivates, someone that encourages you, someone that believes in you, and someone that you can just remember for doing something great in this world.
And I think they're gonna remember you by this. I really do.
I hope.
Well, there you guys have it. Founder, producer, creative director, Rhe.tor.ic, and this is the end of the after show.